Hey folks, and welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be having a look at the lightning arrow build I've been playing. We're currently 44% XP to 95. I've been doing super juiced up tier 16s. Been basically getting a full tab of juice, maps, alks, chisels, sextants, scarabs. If you're interested in how I juice my maps, I do have a video. This is purely for the gear, to give you an idea of the cost, how I made things, maybe to help you craft some stuff, and just finalize the build. It's one of the best builds I've played. I've really enjoyed it, and I figured I would show you the process. So first of all is the bow. Now the bow is not very good. I've had a go at buying another spine bow. The reason I'm using a spine bow is because it has nice attack speed and base crit chance, and I've just effectively been going on and putting on a deafening, should I say, essence of wrath, and I'm just looking for effectively the lightning damage, which you'll get from the essence, tier 1 fire or cold, and then another elemental damage. Then you can put attack speed on. You could maybe veil it with a tier 4 ailing in research. You could put crit chance on, double damage, all these kind of things. And then you can enchant it with attack speed per quality. You could quality this up to be 28, 30 quality, whatever you want to do, and it will be kind of nice. This bow is not expensive, any stretch of the imagination. Crafted it myself, linked it myself. This could be much better. There are bows out there that are much better than this, but this has done the whole game. I had no issues with it. It's a solid bow, and I've put crit chance on it because I personally like always critting. It feels nice. Yes, you could do attack speed or double damage or something like that. I like the crit chance. That's personal preference. That's the bow that we've got. The helmet is locked in. That's the assonance chant with a lightning arrow enchant on. This was 30 chaos orbs. This allows me to fire out power charge on crit, onslaught, purifying flame, and tornado. We don't use the exposure gem, the hydrosphere, because we do have that on our gloves, the exposure, so we can remove that. And I'm using purifying flame because it gives consecrated ground, which I'm not too sure if that links in with the bottle faith. Not too sure how that works, but this gives curse effectiveness. It makes me a bit safer, and because I don't need the hydrosphere, that's what I've gone with. So that's pretty much locked in. This was like 30c. The bow, I don't know the price. I haven't managed to make one anything with about 6 to 7 exalts of essences. Got a bit unlucky, but if you want to do the essence tree and you want to get the extra essences, which I did have at the beginning, but I've got rid of them, you can farm the essences yourself to make that a lot less costly. Now, where should we go? Let's go for the quiver. Now, the quiver, the implicit is not the best. The physical damage doesn't really do anything for me here, and everything else is kind of what I want. Now, I have accuracy. I have a big accuracy roll because I personally like to have high accuracy on the build. And if you'll take a look, we have basically 198% chance to hit. It's not super necessary at all, to be honest. I just like the feel of it. I have the tier 1 lightning damage to attacks. I've got crit chance. Let's turn trade chat off. Multi. I've got life and wed. Now, if you want to think of a price of that, this is my old quiver, which is basically the same, except it has slightly lower accuracy and slightly less damage to attacks. This has never been pinged for 2 exalts. So this is probably at best like 1x 50c. This, I'm not too sure on the price of this, but it's very similar to that which I was using, so you can gauge the price on that. This was honestly just chaos spamming. It's kind of harvest craft. It's whatever, right? Ideally, what I could do is I could synthesize the item if you wanted to go next level and maybe get a better implicit. But that was the quiver, and that's pretty much locked in. It's got me my life and everything. You'll notice in my last video, I had about 3.9k life. I'm now at 4.9k, and the build feels much more solid because of a few upgrades I've made. So I want to put them out there in case people are looking for them. So the Amulet is still the same amulet. This was done with the essences. Sorry, no, this wasn't done with the essences. This was done through Harvest. I think it was Harvest Crit. And I got the multi, which I guess was the crit roll. And it got lightning damage to attacks, life. It's got 2 reses. It's not the best. It's really not the best, but the resistances do help me. And it has that open prefix, so I can put on the minus mana cost. And I've allocated Heart of Thunder, which you can see above, gives 30 lightning damage and 6 lightning pen. This could be a lot better. If I didn't need the resistances, I'm sure there's something you could do there, but that's the Quiver, the amulet that I've been looking at and using for a while. Rings, well, these were done with essences, and these, unfortunately, I exalted life gained on hit, which isn't that great. This is resists life, and I've used a catalyst to improve the lightning damage to attacks, or you could improve the life if you wanted to do life catalyst. They're really cheap this league. So this is just like pure resists and early damage. That's like my one set piece. The next one, I needed a load of strength. So I used a fractured ring, which I found, and I used attribute modifiers to bump it up to 60 strength. And then what I effectively did was this was just a alt spam, and I got lightning damage to attacks, and I think life. No, I think I got lightning damage to attacks with the strength roll or the life roll, whichever way around it was. Then I regaled it and I exalted on mana regen and lightning res. Not the best. And then I put on the channeling costs. I've enchanted both rings with meteor damage. That creates burning ground. And this one is extra damage, so there's a bit of burning ground, bit of damage, which helps the blights that I've been running. The chest piece is enchanted, so it has +1 life per 2% quality, and it's 30 quality through might have been Harvest, or it could have been one of the Jun leaders. So that gives me a bit more life. Do lose some evasion, but it's a bit of a trade-off. Using the influence, I have put on crit multi and chance to block attacks for a bit of defense. You can do lightning damage, you could do res, whatever your preference is. The chest piece itself is a Sadist Garb because it has evasion and energy shield, and it has a high spell suppression, high life with an essence. This is how I made it. I just spammed essences until I got spell suppression and life, and then I had 2 resists. No, I tell a lie. Here's what I did. I remember I had just those 2 rolls, and then because I used these exalted orbs, it was like if one of the influences is dominant, I could get a suffix, and I put on these 2 suffixes, got some average resistances, and then I exalted again the 50 melee reflect, which isn't great. And it's got the 10% max life as extra ES, which is done through a Jun. Just unveiling items that drop, and then you can craft it on your bench. So that's nice. This isn't an incredible chest piece. You could get something with like crit chance. You could get an influenced mod or something like that, but I'm pretty happy with it. The life is really all I needed. Maybe you could get a big strength roll on there or something or other, but that's pretty much good. The next piece of gear, I found these about level, you'll see the eye level is level 79. I found these gloves about level 70, 80, I think it was. And all they had on them was maximum life, spell suppression, and the abyssal socket. And I realized that's pretty good. It's pretty rare, probably not going to craft anything better than that. So I kept hold of them. And then once I'd learnt about the crafting techniques, which I have a video on, I exalted on Fizz and I exalted on lightning damage to attacks, and then I crafted attack speed. Then, using the influence, I've managed to put exposure on and attack speed if I'm in a unique. So they're kind of giving 25 attack speed when I'm near a unique, which is most of the time. That's when you need the attack speed. So those have been locked in. And the enchant is force on hit. Not sure if it's the best, but when I look at it, force on hit releases an arc from your weapon, and it does 29k. And it does quite a lot of lightning and cold damage and fire damage. And when I'm point blank barraging, sometimes it helps. So that's what I went with. The next piece of gear is a piece of gear that I've only just made yesterday. These are really nice. This is where the build began to feel good. So I was using these boots. They were kind of, where were they? They had 20 move speed on them. Yeah, these boots, they had 25 move speed, brittle ground, and cooldown and damage pen, which I enchanted, and they have the intelligence. This was created with essence spamming intelligence essences because I needed the intelligence, and the resistances helped, and I used the exalt technique again to exalt them with the little new influence orbs, and that only costs 4 chaos. Brittle ground gives me crit chance, so when you run around, it drops sort of this brittle ground that increases your crit chance, which was helping. And I was using that until I found a cortex and I got a bald faith. Again, if you think that's lucky, it kind of is. But if you constantly re-roll Kirak, as you can see, I have another cortex ready to go. Sometimes they just happen, right? And I could get a flask from this, and that's kind of how I've been playing the game. No trade. And it's been really nice. So I basically chaos spammed the shit out of these boots until we got something good. Then I put on the influence to get 5 move speed. That's what we did. So we've now got 40 move speed, and then I lab enchanted them. So if you haven't been hit, you have 10% move speed. So these boots have 50 move speed, right? So they're like those speed leveling boots, except they also have life resist and intelligence. There's a little bit lower intelligence requirements there, you'll notice, because I've improved my gear over the time, so I didn't quite need 53 in, I needed 37. You could also put LE pen on them, you could put attack and cast speed. I'm mostly mapping at this point, so the LE pen, I've just decided I'm not really bossing anymore, I just want to sign in and blast some maps and have some fun. So the movement speed is what I went with. Yeah, so that's how I decided to do that, and I've got rid of the brittle ground for that extra move speed because of the Cortex Flask. This is the only piece of gear I bought because I was struggling to make it, and I needed a belt with a lot of strength to make it work. This is a Stingent Vice with Hunter Influence, and it has 10% max life and 86 life. Those are the only real rolls I cared about, and strength. So I looked those up on trade. Then I used quality and life catalysts to boost it up to 103 and 12% max life. And I crafted on the Wed, which is the elemental damage with attack speed, with attack skills. And this belt is taking me, it's giving me that extra life pool. I have another belt here, which you can see, which I made myself. These belts cost, I'm not sure, let's have a look. Abyssal socket. These belts cost 1.4 exalts. They're not the craziest thing in the world, and what you can do is like this. You can see one here in a crafting tab. You just kind of go into harvest and you use life until you get something like this, but obviously it would have a bigger life roll. I'm probably going to keep this, and then when I get reforged similar, I will try to reforge similar, and hopefully it's good. They are quite hard to roll, but as you can see here, they're not absolutely impossible to roll. And if I price check something like this, it might be a bit weird because, yeah, look, 3 exalts, 6 exalts. Then, and if you want to put some res in there, 6 exalts. They're not the craziest thing I've ever seen, but you know, you can craft it yourself. But if you want to spend it, 6 exalts for like a super endgame belt isn't the end of the world. Up until that point, I was using the exact same belt. It just didn't have max life. That was it. So that's your main gear. Now the jewels, by the way, if you don't have abyssal socket gloves, you have an extra socket which allows you to put in Defiance Banner. You can also then level up and make Defiance Banner be free. That's probably what I'll do if I level up. I might get rid of Blink Arrow. I'm not sure, but that's an option. The jewels are all very similar. Lightning damage to attacks. This has res and life because I need it. This one, life, damage to lightning damage with bows, a little bit of pen if you haven't killed recently. It's not the best jewel. If you look on my tree, for the longest time, I was spec'd into these 3 nodes up here. So then I could put Corrupting Blood cannot be inflicted. I went ahead and I got a Corrupting Blood jewel. This was from constantly making Abyssal jewels because I had the Abyssal node on the Atlas passive tree and just relentlessly corrupting. And I got life, my damage to attacks. This obviously could be better, but it's quite hard to make a really good jewel and then corrupt it because that obviously costs money. You could sell the good jewel. So this was one of my not the best. It's only got tier 6 lightning and tier 1, and then I corrupted it. The other jewel, again, lightning damage to attacks, lightning damage to attacks. You'll notice some of them have these implicits because in Harvest, sometimes you get the chance to put an implicit on. You can also buy them from trade if you want. But all the jewels are that kind of vibe. Again, lightning damage to attacks, a bit of strength and int. The build's been going really well. The reason the build at this point feels much better is because I went from 3.9k life. I managed to take out those 4 passive points for the Corrupting Blood jewel, put the 4 passive points into life, and with the belt, that's really bumped me up. Also, for the longest time, I didn't realize I wasn't using a Quicksilver. I was using a Quicksilver, but it didn't also have this cheater mod, which is movement speed during Flasks. So I rolled a Quicksilver. So you'll see here, is there a movement speed mod? Can't quite figure out how. Movement speed modifier. So I have 134 move speed, right? I'm really fast, and it feels going from having a pair of 20 move speed boots to having a pair of 50 move speed boots with a flask. It feels like a zoom build with your frenzy charges. You're blasting through maps. It just feels so much better. Because I could get rid of the Corrupting Blood, I put increased armor on my flask. So now I have, if you take a look at the defense, 64 fizz reduction and 66 dodge. And this also has attack speed. If you don't want the attack speed, that's just because I'm mapping. I'd probably recommend getting Ignite removal because Ignite kind of wrecks this build. Ailments kind of do. I don't really have too much ailment avoidance, but you know, that's something you could work on. And before I got the solo self-found Bottled Faith, I was using this diamond flask, which on tooltip takes me to 137. This takes me to 147. It's obviously, I'm not going to pretend like a Bottled Faith is not better. It is. But you don't need a Bottled Faith. I wasn't using one. It's not the biggest deal. It's nice. I don't know how much these things cost. 6x. So, yeah. But there is a chance again, if you're re-rolling your Kyrix, you get these scouting reports, and you re-roll them to include at least one unique map. Eventually you might get it. So that's the gear, that's the overview. And it's just a really nice playstyle. It survives tier 16s really well. I might put up just a piece of gameplay, but there's tons of gameplay on stream of how it plays. Hopefully this helps you if you're interested in the gearing. It feels like a really nice build at this point. Played till basically level 96. It blasts all the content. It's a really nice balance between mapping and bossing. It's not the best bosser. It's probably not the best mapper because there are headhunter builds out there, etc. But it's a nice balance, and I enjoy coming on to play. And currency-wise, I've got 11 exalts left. Maybe I could look to buy a bow. Maybe I could buy 11 exalts of essences and make a better bow, something like that. But yeah, that's the gearing. The big difference since the last video was that extra life pool, and the movement speed has really made it feel more like a bow build and less of like a truck, to be honest. And it's nice, and I hope this helps you. Hopefully your league's going well. Have a great day. Thanks. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and comment. Consider subscribing. Have a great evening or morning wherever you're from. All right.